Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyaadi Lakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme precept. Yoga Vasistha Upashama Prakarana, Section 51. We just concluded a whole section where mind has been described as a crow, as a pishacha, a vampire, as a vulture, as a snake, as a dark cloud, as a cobra, as a trapping net. And the previous section concluded with that one should possess pure mind and cut down all these evils that we described, crow, pishach, etc., by purifying the mind. Just as the fury of one weapon is fought by another similar weapon, in the same manner, an impure mind is overcome by a pure mind. The weapon is used only as allegorical. Simple point, purifying the mind will free you of impurity. Develop vairagya, dispassion, and consider all objects of the world, even the enjoyments of the heavens, as worthless as a straw. Subtle point is given, how to purify your mind. Mind is tainted by impurities, anger, hate, greed, etc. Tainted mind is like, giving very crude example, you have vegetables with a tainted skin. Skin contains poisonous stuff. What you need in the kitchen? A knife. Knife to remove the skin, not to cut your fingers. So that type of knife you have to procure. Knife that cuts down the impurities without hurting you, without creating tension and injury. So it's a process of sublimation, and we will talk about it more. We are entering to section 51, the story of sage Uddalaka. Uddalaka is the same sage whose son was Nachiketa. And in his storyline, he has many famous relations. But that's just a storyline. Sage Vasishtha continued, O Rama, even after one has intellectually grasped the nature of the self, one cannot attain supreme peace of liberation. If you have gone through a studious plan of studying the scriptures and you maintain good health and good intellect and you have covered all that, will that give you supreme peace? Not yet. All that implies you have done theoretical knowledge. That has not gone to wastage. It has prepared your mind to understand what should be your right course. But if you lean on theoretical knowledge as your perfection, then ego takes over your personality. Ego becomes inflated. How much do I know? And that is not, when we talk of attain knowledge of the self. The knowledge is not in the terms of your ego's affirmation. You can use your ego to say, I'm attaining enlightenment, or even attain enlightenment. You can use your ego. But that ego has to be very sattvic. Because even when you state it, you keep yourself face down shy. Radiate humility. If you are Brahman, then you radiate humility. If you are a mother, you must radiate motherliness. Mothers don't become arrogant. I'm not talking about. Simple idea is there are two stages, intellectual grasp and then going into intuitional realization. While studying it, you are given this sequence. While you are practicing it, intellectual grasp plus inner purification, they begin to go together. You just don't sit back, having known not to be angry and you go on becoming angry, that you don't do that. When you start studying, anger is bad, and you should use 3S, suppress, substitute, sublimate. This is not Brahmagyan, but you are purifying. You are not waiting for Brahmagyan to come and rid you of your problems. While studying, you have already started a sneak movement of Brahmagyan. And when will that Gyan ultimately blossom into perfection? One cannot attain supreme peace or liberation until his mind is freed of distractions and his intellect is converted into intuitive vision through the practice of unobstructed meditation. The mind in a human being has grown extensive due to its numerous attachments towards both the objects of the world as well as objects of the heavenly world. Simple general understanding. Your human mind goes on working for happiness. And two concepts of happiness. One, happiness in the world, practical, that's a practical reality. How to have lots of money, lots of good family, lot of good children, lot of popularity, happiness. But your happiness goes on hopping out of your grasp. That's something easy to catch. And then you start putting into your mind, all right, when I die, I must enjoy heavenly pleasure. Two types of happiness, worldly happiness and celestial happiness. That's where how the mind goes on working in these two directions. And misses the simple point that all this happiness in this world and after death by entering into astral plane called Swarga. Because in that plane you may have lots of enjoyment based on your own concept. If your enjoyment was, may I have lots of wonderful food to eat. If you are diabetic and develop craving, when will be? And so the idea, after death, I must go to a place where all sweet things are available. In heaven, you have milky ocean. So no fear of calories. You don't possess physical body. So all that you do to go on enjoying it. That's the concept of bhoga, heavenly enjoyment. But what one doesn't understand, that after your good karma is over, that gave you heavenly enjoyment, you are coming back again. You forget all about your good enjoyment. Again you are chasing every little thing in this world with the same illusion. You have not learned any lesson. Just repeating it. So that is not healthy for the mind. As long as the mind is gripped by these two desires, mind is sick. Only when the mind begins to turn its attention to liberation, moksha, and understands the real happiness is that which brings contentment, not craving. All worldly happiness creates a lot of thrill in your heart when you gain some money or some success, worldly success. But then it remains in your notes or in your iPads, pictures of your happiness and all that you did, and you go and showing to people. But you have no contentment. And now you are looking for how else can I do to have more thrill. And in this process, craving goes on increasing. Since no matter how much happiness, your happiness you view as something quantitative. If last Christmas gave you 10% happiness, this Christmas you want 20%. Or more, why not more? Cent percent. So you are always counting on Happiness, that's like worldly object, quantitative. But happiness is not quantitative. Happiness is a revelation of your essential nature. Sun is source of all illuminations. For the sun, there is no desire for being enlightened. And it doesn't count its light. How many places have I placed my light? How much source I have to give to the people? I'm leading you into a little more distraction. The idea is quantitative happiness versus real happiness. Illuminations of the sun are quantitative. You can have more light of the sun, less light of the sun. Differently reflected suns are operating in different ways. But the sun, allegorically speaking, is light of lights, source of all that light. In the same way, your inner self is light of lights. It's the embodiment of happiness, absolute bliss. Until that revelation comes, you are not really happy. And of course, as you move towards that revelation, every step that you take releases you of the pressure of craving. Craving versus contentment. Contentment becomes a pointer, an indicator of your moving towards real happiness. If happiness doesn't give you contentment, then it is happiness. It's a little difference. The Puranas say that when the churning of the ocean ceased, it became the abode of Lord Vishnu. Similarly, when will my mind, Uddalaka is reflecting and working with his own mind, when will my mind, having gone beyond all agitations, become like the calm, milky ocean, sanctified by the presence of spiritual wisdom? This is an allegorical statement to tell you how joyous the state of liberation is. The allegorical description is, think of in the Puranas, ocean that continues to churn. In that very ocean, ocean of the world, ocean is world process, constantly churning. In Puranas, in this big ocean, Lord Vishnu, by divine process, brings about churning of the ocean. Gods were one side and demons were on the other side. And the cosmic mind presented the rope, snake, Sheshnag, and the ocean was churned. And all the poison sucked up by Shiva. Then that ocean became perfectly faultless, defectless, became milky ocean. And yes, so milky and joyous that Lord Vishnu created his resting place. And he is very inclined to go on resting all the time. And Shesha serpent that creates all the trouble in the world is his couch supporting his head. I'm slipping into all these big things, but all this is allegorical. In spite of the world being full of turmoil, through meditation you begin to churn your mind. Through yoga process, integral yoga, you bring about vision of God in the pure state of your mind, the sattva, milky ocean. In that state, God is the master of, controller of all the energies that operate through your mind. See, Sheshanag he is sleeping upon it. And Lakshmi Devi, the source of all prosperity and joy, is constantly attending upon Lord Vishnu. And Uddalaka said, when will I get the same opportunity? When will I attain the enlightened state of liberation and thus pass my days with the growing vision of detachment from the world process? Another important point to understand. When you read it, it seems like you have to be always restless. If you have not succeeded in spiritual paths, knock your mind a little, just beat your head and become exceedingly concerned. Why have I not attained liberation? And when will I attain liberation? Sounds like that, but that's not the real teaching. You will automatically have that type of intense yearning, but in a healthy way. That intense yearning is accompanied by intense joy. Let me give you a very simple illustration. You are very healthy, very strong, and you are very hungry. You can digest all sorts of things, and you are very keen in taste. Now, kitchen is preparing the food. Your heart says, when will I get the food? But during that time, you are smelling the beautiful fragrance of the food that is being cooked. The feeling of good digestion and a very flavorable satisfaction waiting. Even though it appears like you are very hungry, you are suffering, you are not suffering. You are enjoying it. Understand that? So whenever we talk of spiritual aspirant keenly involved, when will I attain liberation? It should not be viewed, interpreted in the form of keeping the mind in distress, worry, negativity, sadness. If you do that, you are going other way around. You are not really moving towards a spiritual goal. And the keen interest in attaining liberation will continue to give you a higher level of spiritual health and spiritual appetite. So when will I attain enlightened state and pass my days with the growing vision of detachment from the world process? Vairagya is paving the way to your enlightenment, liberation. And that is simple indications of spiritual progress. Again, Vairagya also is generally, whenever we talk of Vairagya, people put on a sad face. I have not laughed for whole months practicing Vairagya. You are injuring your health as well. So that is not Vairagya. Vairagya is your being in a position to understand the things people are running after. They are childish games. You are grown up and see kids playing with so many things in so many different ways. You can join with them, be entertained, but you don't fall for what they are running after. The more you have that type of internal freedom, greater is your spiritual progress. This is called increasing Vairagya. When will the dark night of ignorance come to an end, which has harbored the owls of worldly desires and has brought the frost of dullness on the lotus of the heart? All these very highly poetic writings. Ignorance is as if a dark night, though reality behind all is a shining sun. But the soul is working through the mind and doesn't have any other identity due to ignorance. Whatever mind interprets, that's what soul believes in. And then in that case, you are as if facing a dark night. In the dark night, there are little glimmers, lot of glowworms. The glowworms become so pleasing. And if you collect those glowworms, your heart will become increasingly like a lotus that withers by frost, going after worldly desires. You may say, everyone is always working in the world. But when we say world going after, implying not having the purpose of your life, just enjoying the pleasures. But you are moving through the pleasures of the world for finding the higher joy. In other words, same sattvic, same type of life. If you turn to sattva, bring in your life healthy style of living, a heart that enjoys giving, charity, intellect that goes on controlling your mind and senses. If you live that way, you are not falling into the trap of worldly pleasure. Though you are not losing your pleasure, you have pleasure beyond measure. It's the only difficulty. Sattvic happiness you can't measure. Worldly happiness you can count. Abiding in the cave of the mountains, when will I enter into Nirvikalp Samadhi and enjoy a rock-like invincibility. All these are real for many people. Take it literally. Masters have that the type of view of being a yogi and being an ascetic. But it's completely wrong. But then what happens to this statement? Abide in the cave of the mountains. Now, if you are led by Guru, Gu, that illumines, Ru, that illumines, Gu, Guha, cave. Cave of your heart. If you allow your heart to be illumined, free of anger, hate, greed, and divine bhavana starts coming into it, you are entering into cave. The world may be noisy, but it doesn't reach your cave. Your peace and harmony is safe. Safe. So, no matter where you are in the cave of the mountains. And if you experience that, it is same as experiencing or practicing nirvikalpa samadhi. Mind that is not losing its interest over vikalpas. Whether should I do this, whether should I do that. I'm referring to objects of the world. Should I enjoy this? Should I enjoy that? And so forth. Mind is always working with vikalpas. And the world around you shakes you up constantly. The moment you become a little calm, so many things start coming to your head from all directions. Safe place is cave. But not literally. If you go into a cave, literally following it. I will not describe. Try to understand what will happen. And we adopt a pose from which you don't want to. You are told you shouldn't even get up at all. No shaking at all. Be like a mountain. Follow literally and will not survive even for 3 or 4 days. Of ego, be overpowered by the lion of intuitional vision and attain its destruction. Ego is described here as an elephant. Elephant generally used in a positive way, but in this case, negative. Wild elephant. Elephant that goes on trumpeting and intoxicated by some strange liquid flowing near its forehead. That's what ego is. The sound of ego is vain, egoistic. I will do this, I will do that, I am this great person. This. Trumpeting of the elephant. But your mind will continue doing that until you create your progress towards attaining intuitional vision. The progress again is progressive. A clearer thinking, puts your mind in a lighter stage, not carrying the burden of so much have I done, so much I will do, so much of flair in your ego that moves away. Just like elephants come under control when a lion roars before them. There may be a giant group of elephants, but one vigorous lion roars, they all shrivel and sink. So ego-based mind goes on acting like elephant. Intuition-illumined mind is like the lion. When will the birds of the forest prepare their nests on my head as I am immersed in the experience of Nirvikalpa Samadhi? Another allegorical. If you are Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you don't want the birds. Let the birds be in the forest. Why should they come to your head, into your head? But it's a subtle point. Don't view Nirvikalpa Samadhi as a desolate place, a desert completely quiet, not a little whisper. That's the picture people generally get. Yoga Vasistha gives the picture of all the forest birds coming right into the nest of your head. All of them. Forest becomes joyous because of birds. The sound of birds called kalarava. Kala sound is a mystic sound of peace, harmony, and joy. Rava means sound. Kala, rava. That sound expresses through the birds and animals. Behind that sound is divine presence. God's vibhuti, glory of God, expresses through the songs of birds and their sounds. Detailing all that, just to tell you what you understand about Sahasrara Chakra. If you are in Samadhi, if you are progressing, it climaxes into 1,000-petaled lotus, described again allegorically towards your head, but it's nothing to do with the head. It is the climax of a spiritual experience. That climax, allegorically described as a lotus that contains lots of nectar, drop nectars. Big lotus with 1,000 petals. 1,000 again is allegorical. Thousands and thousands. Infinite measure. But instead of talking about nectar, Yoga Vasistha gives another simile. Beautiful melody comes dripping down from all these petals. The forest of your mind is rejoicing with not human music. Animal music is much better. I'm joking. Because their music is spontaneous, and human beings have learned from them. Another very simple message you are getting, that spiritual attainment generally people view as one becomes stiff and is always aloof and has nothing to do with the world. No forest, no birds, nothing. Not so. His mind is filled with melody, and naturally it will radiate from his personality, inspiring countless people for all times. So, figure that out, what to do. At the same time, I do not discourage people who have to practice discipline for shorter duration, becoming too much, being aloof, being fast, being aloof. Keep your mind completely, keep your face completely calm and serene. No smiles, no laughter, nothing. That also is commendable if it is a purpose, serving you a purpose of discipline. If it is not serving you that purpose, then you are sinking in the name of a spiritual practice. When will I be able to renounce the lake of the world process, which abounds with the aquatic growth of craving and is infested with numerous creatures in the form of desire, anger, hate, passion? Another allegorical, we always talk about Bhava Sagar. The world process is like an ocean. Here, lake. It doesn't make any difference. And this Bhavasagar, ocean of the world process, is infested with whales, sharks, and all types of terrible creatures. And those creatures are desire, anger, hate, passion, jealousy, vanity. And the spirit of doubt is kind of big crocodiles. Crocodile called magar. Sanskrit literature uses it. Having told a whole story, one magar word cuts down all that has been told. Remember that man who goes to buy a horse from an Arabic merchant. And the merchant entertains him and tells about a wonderful horse he has. All good qualities. The nature of the foot, the nature of the body, nature of the hair, the way the ears perk up, all details. And then the man said, "It's so wonderful. Is there anything negative?" Just one thing, but he equipped with all qualities, but he is dead. What is crocodile? Killed everything. That's the nature of the world. During the practice of meditation, at times, he experienced the joyous state of sattva. At other times, his mind wandered by the force of rajasic distractions. Often he saw an effulgent sun rising within the firmament of his heart. But when he saw himself sunk in the darkness of ignorance, this is a progressive movement. Having renounced external and internal contacts, often his mind became immersed in a state between the darkness of ignorance and the light of the self, and experienced a long, lingering state of inertia. The different obstacles that one faces in spiritual movement. At times, there is positive experience. At times, you sink into a negative. And at times, you adopt the mantra, wait and watch. But sometimes, hardly you wait, you begin to watch. And sometimes, you wait too much. I don't know, when will you watch? But all this is normal challenges in every sadhaka. So don't despair, no matter how things are. There is no simple law that if you did that many number of mantra, you will get the success. There is no such thing. You have hardly completed your mantra, you can get the success. Sometimes you go on doing it, you don't get the success. But what you are doing is not in vain. It is preparing your way. But since you have obstacles in your own personality, it will take you time. Certain attainments are easy to get. Certain attainments are difficult based on karmas. So if you begin to understand the role of karma in your personality and the reality of the self, the inner self is not controlled by your karmas. When you go to sleep, you come closest, the whole world moves away. And neither you are looking for your pleasure nor for pain, neither bhoga nor roga. Same way, in spite of whatever goes on in this world and in yourself, the inner reality is like the sky, untouched. Like a tree uprooted by a storm and being shaken by the waves of the ocean, the mind of Uddalaka was continuously affected by the storms of distraction. It continued to be shaken by the waves of cravings in the ocean of the world process. And so his sadhana continues, and we will continue. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Ramaya Namah. Om Namah Shivaya.